Welcome back to GSMC's Down by Contact Sports Podcast. I am your host, Jeremy Lapidus. Today is Friday, April 18th. If you were just tuning in, we just went over the Eastern Conference for the Stanley Cup playoffs that had the Carolina Hurricanes coming out of the East to fight for a chance to lift the Stanley Cup trophy. In this segment, we find out who their opponent, I think, is going to be in the Western Conference. But before we do, remember, if you would like to be an even bigger part of the show than you already are, all you need to do is go to gsmcpodcast.net. Or if you're on YouTube, you can use that super chat feature. If you do either of those two things, a message should pop up on the bottom of the screen for you, me, and everybody else around the world to see. If you do have a burning question about sports, anything at all that you would like to ask, go ahead and throw that in the comments. Throw it in the chat. I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. I appreciate everybody so much for sticking around, talking some sports with me here on a beautiful Friday, April 18th. But like I was saying, we are going to get into our final conference picks. The Western Conference of the Stanley Cup playoffs has the President's Cup trophy winners, Winnipeg Jets, going up against the St. Louis Blues. Of course, the President's Trophy doesn't necessarily mean a lot of success. Can they shake off that quote-unquote curse and advance to the second round? They have Connor Hellebuyck, who's going to win the Vezina for the second year in a row. He has been insane. Also, the offense for this Jets team, which was lacking a little bit last season, has really stepped it up. They made a couple of huge moves in the offseason, getting some key contributors. I think this is a Blues team that is solid, but it's not good enough. I'm taking the Winnipeg Jets to sweep the Blues in this one. I love Connor Hellebuyck. I think they are going to dominate this series. I don't think it's going to be that hard for them to move on. They win four games to none, advancing to round two. Once again, a Dallas-Colorado series seems to happen every single year, and it's always good. You have a Dallas team that is yet to quite get over the hump. They've beaten Colorado a couple times, but they can't quite seem to make it all the way out of the Western Conference. They always fight tough. Jake Ottinger's playing really good hockey, as he always is, one of the best goaltenders in the game. He's going to go up against a Colorado team that, of course, always has snipers. Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar. You get Lankinen back, the captain. This is going to be a tough series for Dallas. Dallas does have Mikko Rantanen, though. Mikko Rantanen, of course, formerly a huge star for the Colorado Avalanche. Might be looking for some revenge there. That's something to look out for. I'm still taking the Colorado Avalanche in this one, though. Despite that, I think the way that the Avalanche are playing hockey right now is incredible. The goaltending, not to mention what's going on with their offense, of course. I love this Dallas Stars team. They've got a really solid group of skaters, a really great goalie. I love Jake Ottinger, but I think at the end of the day, this just isn't going to answer it. I just don't think they have quite of the firepower to keep up with a newly healthy Colorado team, and I'm taking them in 7 games to advance to take on the Winnipeg Jets. The bottom half of the bracket sees the Vegas Golden Knights back at the top of the Pacific Division, taking on the Minnesota Wild. The Wild started off this season red hot. They were the hottest team in hockey. They were kicking off like nobody's business. They had a great goaltender. They still do in Gustafsson. He's having a great season. But then injuries hit them, and they fell all the way down to the wild card. But now they're healthy again. They get Joel Eriksson Ek back. They get their guys back. Kirill Kaprizov is fully healthy now. This is not going to be an easy series for Vegas. Vegas, of course, once again, doing their thing. They lose Marcia, so it does not matter. Aiden Hill's playing great in the net. You've got Mark Stone coming off of course, LTIR. He's back again. He seems to do this every single year, but it's fine because it works. Vegas, a very, very good hockey team, a very dangerous hockey team. I think they beat the Minnesota Wild in 6 games, but this is not going to be easy. It definitely is not. It's going to be a hard-fought battle. Minnesota, a very physical team. They're not going to let Vegas get away with this easy. A lot of fan bases hate Vegas. They've seen nothing but success. I don't see that ending now, especially with the season that they've had. They take care of Minnesota in 6 games, advancing to round 2. The final game of round 1, though, final series of round 1, I should say, you have the Los Angeles Kings taking on the Edmonton Oilers for the 3rd straight year. Big brother, little brother battle over there, and I just don't see how it changes. Edmonton still has the best player in hockey, Connor McDavid, who was one game away from winning a Stanley Cup last season. The Kings, they bring in Darcy Kemper. He's been really good, but I have my qualms with Darcy Kemper. He won a cup just a couple years ago with the Colorado Avalanche. I don't think he can do it again. This is an Edmonton team that I think has the Kings number. The Kings have played great hockey all season long, and I respect them for what a season they've had. But at the end of the day, Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers are just going to be a little bit too much for the Kings, and I think Edmonton moves on in 6 games like it always seems to happen. In the second round, Winnipeg taking on the Colorado Avalanche. I think this is a series that could go as one of the better series overall. Obviously, Winnipeg has the best goalie in hockey right now. Colorado is one of the most dangerous sets of offense, one of the most dangerous power play units in all of hockey. Whichever one of these teams is going to stay out of the box more, I think is going to win. I love Winnipeg. I think this is their year. I think they take care of business against Colorado. They do what they need to do. They stay clean. They stay out of the box. And I think the Winnipeg Jets advance to the Western Conference Finals in 7 games against the Colorado Avalanche. The Avalanche, of course, coming off of a very hard-fought series in Dallas. The path just isn't quite there for them. Vegas faces Edmonton. This seems like another matchup that happens every single postseason. Edmonton got the better of them last time out. Vegas, a very dangerous team this year. I'm taking the Edmonton Oilers again. Connor McDavid, I think, can go on that kind of run where he's just the best player in hockey. He's someone that no one really wants to mess with. Of course, you don't want to mess with Connor McDavid. He's going to be the next coming of Wayne Gretzky, of course. And I think Vegas doesn't quite have the goaltending, despite how well Adin Hill has been playing. I think Edmonton just has too much offensive firepower, and I think if their defense can step up the way that it has this season, the way that it did in the playoffs last year, they'll be able to make it back to the Western Conference Finals, maybe even further. They take care of Vegas in 7 games. Both of these series should be really good, but that sets up a Western Conference Finals between the Winnipeg Jets and the Edmonton Oilers. And at the end of the day, when in doubt, go with goaltending. Connor Hellebuck, I think, is the best goaltender in hockey right now, and he is going to carry his squad on his back all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals. We've seen the Jets struggle in round 1. I think once that round 1 demon gets off their backs, they are just going to roll all the way to the finals, set up a date in 6 games with the Edmonton Oilers, with the Carolina Hurricanes. Both of these teams that desperately are looking for a Stanley Cup victory. These two teams have been in a cup drought. Of course, Canada has been in a cup drought for a very long time. It's been more than 30 years since they last won a cup. They were 1 game away last time, and I think the cup drought continues. Unfortunately for Canada, they have a lot of really good contenders. Winnipeg, Edmonton out of the West, Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal out of the East, although Montreal I don't really think stands much of a chance. I'm taking the Carolina Hurricanes. They extend that drought in Canada not to have the Stanley Cup since 94. I think Carolina lifts the cup, gets that massive monkey off their back. They get rid of they dispatch the Jets in 7 games in a really exciting cup final. I'm taking the Carolina Hurricanes as the Stanley Cup champion. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. Who do you have out of the West? Who do you have out of the East? Are there any upsets that you think in the Stanley Cup playoffs? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And thank you everybody so much for tuning in to today's episode of GSMC's Down by Contact Sports Podcast. I've been your host, Jeremy Lapidus. We'll be back on Monday, going over everything from around the world of sports. We will have some detailed breakdowns from the playoffs. We'll keep you updated. We'll do our MLB power rankings on Monday. Everything you need to know. Have a great weekend, guys. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to